everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for another video where I'm going to be sharing an embossing folder technique with you. I love using embossing folders and coming up with fun ways to be able to incorporate a technique into that embossed design. So today we're going to not only be embossing onto pattern paper, which is one of my favorite ways to use embossing folders, but we're also going to add some foiling to it, which is a really easy and fun way to add a little bit of extra sparkle and shine to your project. So in today's video, I am using new products from the Simon Says Stamp To Be Loved release. So there are many new products in this collection, and I'm using quite a few of them today. But then you'll also be able to go check out the rest of the release. I have it linked below in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can head on over to my blog for the full details and all of the products that are included in this wonderful release. This is a continuation of Simon Says Stamp's To Love release, which was released in December. And so now this one is coming out, and it's a beautiful combination of products that complement the To Love release perfectly. All right, let's jump on into the project. I have the Pinnacle Hearts embossing folder that's part of the To Be Loved release here, and we're going to emboss this beautiful heart design onto the Candied Treats pattern paper set that I have from Paper Rose. I've selected this striped paper, which I thought was really pretty. Now what's fun about this is you could emboss the paper either horizontally or vertically. I've chosen to do a vertical design today. So I'm going to cut this paper down so it's about the same size as my embossing folder. And then I'm going to lay this into the folder with the raised side of the folder on the back side of my pattern paper. And I'll run this through my die cut machine. So now I get these beautiful embossed dimensional hearts on this paper. It looks so pretty. All right, so we're going to add our foiling now. I'm pulling out this glue stick from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm going to very lightly go over top of the embossed hearts and apply a little bit of that adhesive to them. This is just transferring a small amount of adhesive to the paper, so the amount of foiling that we're going to get is going to be relatively light. It's more of a distressed look, which I really love and I thought went well with the style of my card. So I took some foil and I pressed it into the adhesive, and then I decided I wanted to add a little bit more. So I'm going to go back over and very lightly, I'm not pressing hard, I'm just lightly adding that adhesive to the paper. Then I'll bring my foil back in. I'm just going to reuse that same piece, burnish that foil into the adhesive, and then peel it back again to reveal the transfer. And just check that out. It is so cool with those distressed hearts. They're all shiny and it looks fantastic. A perfect backdrop for the card that I'm creating. So I'm going to pull out this Adore die from CZ Design. It came out in December, and it's a really great sentiment for the Valentine's season. So I'm going to die cut this from some cream cardstock, and I'm going to stack 2 cream pieces together, and then I'm going to finish it off with a layer of Simon Says Stamp matte gold cardstock. So this stack of sentiments is going to allow me to get a little bit of dimension off of the shadow layer that also coordinates with this. And I cut that shadow layer from the same cream cardstock that I used to cut the main greeting itself. I'm gluing everything together with Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue. It's my favorite adhesive for attaching sentiments and die cuts, little paper pieces, embellishments, you name it. So it's a really great adhesive. It dries clear. So if I have any glue that is squishing outside the edges of my paper, you'll never see it. So once I have my sentiments stacked together, it's ready to go onto my card. But now we need to add some beautiful imagery. I'm going to pull out this Always and Forever stamp set, and I'm going to stamp this cute little bird with the heart onto some white cardstock so I can color it. I'm picking out some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. This is a great ink for Copic coloring, which is how I'm going to color in my bird. He would also look beautiful colored with like some watercolors too, but I've chosen the Copic markers today, and I'm going to use a couple of light E markers to add shading to the bird for a little bit of a feathered look. And I'm not coloring the entire bird, I'm leaving parts of him white so that way he has a highlight. That's going to allow me to get a little bit of shading here. And then to color in the heart, I'm going to pick out some reds that I thought would match nicely with my pattern paper. And for all the Copic marker colors that I've used today, you can find them down below in the video description and also on my blog. That's where all the links live. Either one of those locations, you'll find an entire link list. So now I'm going to take the coordinating Always and Forever dies, and I'm going to cut out the bird. He's going to look so cute layered above my little Adore sentiment. So my plan is to have the Adore in the middle of the card and then the bird coming in from the left over towards the right of the sentiment. But then I thought it would be cute to also have a little bow from the stamp set added to the center of the O. So I stamped that also onto the white cardstock using the intense black ink, and then that allowed me to get that really cute little bow. Now I do want to complete the Adore sentiment, but there weren't any greetings that I thought perfectly matched the word Adore. However, if I alter one, it will match. So I've picked out the sentiment that says, I love that you are mine. And I'm just going to mask off the words I love and stamp the rest of the sentiment onto some black cardstock. So I'm prepping the surface of my paper with a powder tool. I'm going to take a small piece of tape and mask over the words I love, and then bring in my embossing ink so I can ink up the rest of the greeting. Make sure to remove the tape before you press this onto your cardstock. But then this is going to give me a perfect sentiment that matches up with the die cut word Adore. There are some great greetings in the Always and Forever set, but I really wanted to have that die cut greeting, so this was the perfect way to finish it off. I'm using cream embossing powder to sprinkle over top. That'll match really nicely with the cardstock colors that I've chosen and the more vintage tones of the pattern paper. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz mini trimmer to just trim down this sentiment into a small little banner shape. This is going to be a simple little rectangle that will go underneath of our sentiment. I am going to make a card base out of some ivory cardstock. I thought this would be a nice, soft, and vintage color to go really well behind the pattern paper. So that's going to be my card base. I made it with a Simon Says Stamp scoring board. I'm putting some foam tape on the back side of my pattern paper so that way I can pop this panel up off of my card. This way it'll have a little bit of a dimension off of the card base, which I always love. It makes the cards feel a little bit more extra special. Now, if you're worried about bulk and mailing, then you could just glue this down onto the card with some liquid glue, and it not only will it still look beautiful, but then it'll also be a lot easier to mail. But if you're giving this to someone in person, I think adding the dimension is totally awesome. Okay, so now I'm going to wrap things up by attaching my sentiment onto the card. I'm going to line this up along the bottom portion of the card. Definitely make sure it's in the center. Centered up on those stripes, it looks really good. It's a very linear design, which I think is really pretty. And then I'm going to glue my smaller sentiment underneath with some liquid glue. I did use 2 pieces of foam tape to attach the bird. Again, this card is more dimensional, so if you don't want to add all of this foam tape, just replace the foam squares and foam tape with some liquid adhesive. Finally, my bow, you'll notice I kind of bent in the middle, so that way it has a little bit of lift off of the sides. This just makes it feel a little bit more dimensional without actually adding any bulk. So it really looks cute layered on top of that O and gives the bow a bit of pizzazz. So with all of the beautiful sparkle from the foil and then the shiny sentiment in the middle, we ended up with this stunning and elegant Valentine card. This would be so cute to give to somebody you love in your life. And I adore the fact that this allowed me to not only use my embossing folder with pattern paper, but I was able to add foil too for that extra special sparkle and distressed look. Super fun. So I hope you were inspired by the ideas that I've shared today. Definitely try out this embossing technique, either adding the foil or doing it on pattern paper or both, like I did today. It's a lot of fun to experiment with your embossing folders and see what you can do and stretch them out. Don't forget to check out the To Be Loved collection from Simon Says Stamp. It's such a beauty and filled with lots of fun products for the Valentine season. So if you're looking for anything like that, I would encourage you to check it out. Well, friends, I hope you will stop by for my next video, which will be coming on Saturday. I'll be featuring even more inspiration using the To Be Loved collection and some fun techniques. So be sure to check it out on Saturday. I will be sharing another video with you. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful day, and thanks so much for stopping by.